Hello everyone, it's Stephanie, your CSA coach, and it is week 22B of our CSA shares for the 2024 season. After this week, we have 2 more weeks left for this season. Couple of notes to take. We have our pre-registration for next season coming up starting Saturday. All of the details for that are in the emails. Trisha has been sending out a lot of reminders and things to look over, so please make sure you are reading through those emails at length and refer to her with any questions. But pre-registration starts on Saturday morning. This week is our last week of the garlic social, so if you're stopping by and you have some extra time during pickup, either today or on Thursday, help our farmers break up those garlic cloves so that they can plant them for next season. Jumping right into this week's share, we're definitely seeing a shift to the fall produce, lots and lots of greens and root vegetables. So we have kale. Kale gets stored in a Debbie Meyer green bag in the fridge. It can be eaten raw or it can be cooked. You can do a kale salad, a massaged kale salad. There's a kale Caesar salad on the website. There's kale pesto on the website. There's also on the hub, there's a simple sauteed greens, and a lot of the greens would work for that PDF that we created for you. So take a look at that. Also with the greens that we have, you can make green cubes, and there's a PDF for that on the hub as well. Green cubes are great for just preserving our greens, throwing them in little like ice cream cube trays, throwing them into the freezer, and then they're great for smoothies. So that's on our hub as well. Kale, I think I'm actually going to do a juice this week because we have a lot of greens. Celery makes an amazing juice. Actually, Romaine makes an amazing juice. So I'm gonna do a big green juice. Just to kind of cleanse my body a little bit. So that's an option too if you have a juicer or a high-speed blender, and you can put that through like a sieve to pull out the pulp. But that's kale. We have bok choy, and it is enormous this week, so definitely put it in a Debbie Meyer green bag, throw it in the fridge. It can be eaten raw. Most often it is quickly sauteed. It makes a great stir fry. So you could do like a chicken and bok choy stir fry, maybe with a little onion and a garlic. Keep it super simple, nice little sauce. The big thing with bok choy is when you go to cook it, your greens, the green leaves on the top, cooked differently than your bottoms. So you want to separate them, chop these up kind of like celery, and then do a rough chop of the tops, the greens. And then obviously the white part takes a little bit longer to cook than your top green part. But that's bok choy, makes a great stir fry. We have celery. Celery gets stored in a Debbie Meyer green bag in the fridge. It's delicious. Can be eaten raw, chopped up into a salad. I believe I have a celery soup on the blog or on the website. If you're not going to use this celery, and the entire thing can be used, so do not remove the leaves and toss them. They are delicious chopped up in soup. So the entire thing can be chopped up and thrown into like a big celery salad. Or you can chop it up and throw it into soup. If you're not going to use it, rinse it, wash it really well, dry it, chop it up, throw it in a big Ziploc bag, and throw it in your freezer for soup season over the winter. That is our celery. Delicious, far better than any celery you will buy in the grocery store. We have romaine lettuce. Romaine lettuce gets stored in the fridge in a Debbie Meyer green bag or a very large Ziploc bag. Great for salads, great on top of burgers, chopped on top of tacos as a base. So we do a lot of bowls. So we're doing a burger bowl this week. I chop up the romaine, and that's the base of our burger bowl. And like I said earlier, romaine actually is amazing juiced. So if you are interested in juicing. You can juice your romaine. We have scallions. Scallions get stored in the fridge I store them in a Ziploc bag. You can actually store them upright in a glass jar. They're just so large from the farm that I don't trust my kids toppling them over and then the glass breaking. So I put them in a bag. You can dehydrate them. So something I did earlier in the season when we were getting a lot of scallions, I rinsed them, cleaned them really well, chopped them up, threw them in my dehydrator, and then I have a jar of scallions saved throughout the season. I think I'm going to do some more of that just because I have scallions left over from last week. Last week's recipe, if you did not try it, it was the beet and arugula sandwich. It has a scallion cream cheese on it. Even if you do not want to make that sandwich and do the full recipe, make the scallion cream cheese. It's phenomenal. It would be great on top of, if you get the sourdough bread, it's also phenomenal on top of bagels. It's super tasty. I still have some in the fridge. And if you haven't tried that sandwich, it is amazing. My family is big meat eaters, and I served that and they thought I was crazy and they all loved it. It's super tasty, full of flavor, so try it. The roasted beet, honey roasted beet and arugula sandwich from last week. Scallions are great on top of salads. You can dehydrate them, make the scallion cream cheese. Basically, they're used to add onion flavor to any dish. They're just a mild onion flavor, so add a lot of them if you want a larger amount of onion flavor. Great on top of soups, great as a garnish. We have beets. Very first thing you're gonna do with the beets is chop those greens off, save the greens. They can be sauteed, they can be juiced, they can be thrown into our veggie scrap bag to help make broth. Bottoms, store them in a separate Ziploc bag in the fridge. You can roast these, you can pickle them, you can actually puree them. So you can roast them and then do like a beet puree. The beets are a beautiful color, so it adds an amazing color to any dish, no matter how you're gonna use them. So those are our beets. We have, running out of space on my countertop, we have spinach. The spinach, so we have spinach and arugula. This is the arugula, this is the spinach. The spinach is a darker green, and when you pull those leaves out, you can tell that it's spinach. Store it just like this in the fridge until you're ready to use it. Once you're ready to use it, you're gonna throw it in a big bowl of water or a sink filled with water, swish it around, get all the dirt off. Throw it into your salad spinner, get it nice and dry, and then either lightly dress it or you can saute it down. You can do a spinach pesto, you can just do a simple sauteed spinach. We prefer it raw. Same thing with arugula. So arugula is a little bit lighter, longer. Store it just like this in the fridge. Once you're ready to use it, wash it, dry it, lightly dress it, serve it as a side, throw it on top of a sandwich, just like we did last week. What else? You can do an arugula pesto. You can do a simple sauteed arugula. Again, we generally like arugula fresh, but you can also throw these into smoothies. So both spinach, arugula, your romaine, celery, they can all be thrown into smoothies as well. So smoothies, juices, simple saute or raw. Two more items. We have our butterkin squash. It's probably one of my favorite looking squashes because it looks like a tiny little light colored pumpkin. Basically, we're doing the same thing as we do with all of our other squashes. So storing it in a cool, dry place. It will last a few months. You can saute it. You can chop it in half, pull out those seeds, and just roast it the way it is into halves in the oven. You can chop it up into cubes and roast it that way. You can boil it. You can puree it. You can freeze it into cubes and use the puree later on. So one way to preserve it. Generally, you want to cook it before you freeze it, but you can freeze cubes the way they are without roasting them. I just like to be able to pull things out of my freezer and quickly use them. So I like to puree it and have it done that way. There are a ton of recipes on the website for squash. And like I've said in the past, our squash recipes are interchangeable. So if it calls for honey nut squash, but you only have butterkin, use the butterkin. Roasting times may differ because of the size of the squash, but once it's roasted and you puree it, I know there's a pancake recipe, there's a creamer recipe, I can't even, there's the breakfast bowl that I did the beautiful breakfast bowl with yogurt and granola on top, which actually could be turned into a dessert instead of a breakfast bowl. You could do that with the butterkin, or you can make a soup out of it. So you can roast it and puree it and do like a pureed butterkin squash soup. Last but not least, we have our sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are stored in a cool, dry place. They come with a little bit of dirt on them. Here's the rule with our sweet potatoes. They will last the longest if left just like this. So do not wash them if you want them to last a while. So Trisha recommends that we throw them in a paper bag and throw them in a cooler, darker place, and they'll store well. They don't like moisture. However, if you do want to wash them, I always wash mine. I scrub them down, I sit them on the counter, and I let them dry really, really well before I store them. That is also possible, but I don't store mine for long-term storage. A couple weeks is all they last in my house because we love sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes, cool, dry place, either stored just like this, or you can wash them just before you store them. Please let them fully dry. Do not put them in storage when they're still moist. For sweet potatoes, you can roast them and just serve them as a baked sweet potato. You can chop them up and do like a breakfast sweet potato, like a hash brown. You can shred them. You can combine them with onions and garlic. You can boil them and puree them. You can actually make desserts out of them. So similar to our squash, you could do like a sweet potato pancake. You could do sweet potato fritters. So lots of options there. Pretty sure this will be showcased in this week's recipe. So stay tuned for that on Thursday. That is it for this week. Any questions, make sure you tag me on your Facebook post. And if not, enjoy week 22 of our CSA shares. Thanks.